We're going live. Start sit questions right here, right now. I also want to start things off thanking you guys. We just hit 25,000 subscribers, and I love you guys. I love helping you guys. I love interacting with you guys every Sunday morning. I love shooting these videos. It's fun. I love doing it. I do it in between work all the time, so I'm running and gunning with videos, but I just want to thank you guys. This has been amazing, and I'm going to continue doing this for as long as I possibly can. We got a game going on right now, and we're just going to have the cast up right there. And as you ask questions, I'll throw up other screens to help you answer your fantasy questions and everything for your start-sit decisions. I got the game on my phone right here, so I am watching it. And usually the process for me, it's red zone. And then on a tablet, I got the game I really want to watch. And then on top of that, I'm moving around throughout the day. And then Saturday, I also watch as much college football as possible. And then Saturday nights, I'm reviewing other games I couldn't get my hands on. And so this time of day, I'm very, very sketchy. And now I'm backtracking to my NFL brain. But you got to do that every Saturday for NFL draft season and just knowing these prospects. Thank you, Tyler Sperry, for the question. Let's look here. Start to Ford, Hub, Dell, or drop one for downs. I think long-term, Ford, Hub, Dell, one for down. I wouldn't drop any of them for downs. I would go. Questions are piling in here. So I'm going to have to start going rapid fire today. So off my gut, Hub for sure. And then I would, if you need to shoot for upside, I would go, Hunts. Okay, I thought it was Chuba Hubbard. Okay, now that's a little different thing. Let's roll over here. Bam. And we're going to go here to the rankings over here. Half PPR, that's close enough. Bam. Dell, 63. Hunt, 26. And Ford. They're saying to go Ford and Hunt. The one thing I'm looking at with Dell right now, and I can tell why they're having Dell a little bit down on the rankings, is because him being out, him being inconsistent with the flow of the wide receiver targets. If I'm feeling good about my lineup, and I'm feeling good about my wide receivers, my flexes, and my other team that I'm playing against, my opponent did not go off on Thursday, I'm probably cool with going after those running back touches because it's pretty safe. I know those running backs are going to get the touches. However, I think Dell's got upside to pop one in this matchup against the Bills, but it's not for certain. But we're only looking at probabilities here. So probabilities, there's a small chance that he could pop off this week due to him getting deeper targets. However, if I want to feel safe, I'm good everywhere else. I'm going Ford and Hunt. Moving on to the next one here. Looks like we're rolling in with questions here, so I'm going to try and be... Yeah, I like Tracy as a draft prospect, and I kind of got a Purdue bias because I played Little League with Curtis Painter back in the day. He's from Washington Courthouse originally and from my hometown right here, and we played Little League together, so I kind of got a little Purdue bias. I haven't talked to him in years, but high school days when he was back, I think it was Indiana back then, and he was this prospect you were just hearing buzz about. And it was just fun watching him throughout the process because we were friends as a little kid. So I kind of got a Purdue bias. So like Tracy, I wanted to talk about him more, but also during draft season. But also like I know I got a bias there with Purdue. I'm not a Purdue fan. I'm in the Ohio State country. But I got a little bias there because I had one of my friends play there. But I like Tracy. He's very explosive, got a lot of pop up the gut, former wide receiver and catch the ball in the backfield. Very fun prospect. Next question, Jerome Ford or Wicks? Full PPR. 4 for 4 is going to say Ford. I believe wrong Ford at 18. The thing about me is I believe Wicks got a lot of upside. I think Ford's safe with the touches. I knew 4 for 4 was going to say Ford due to the running back touches. The running back touches are always safer because they're guaranteed. I think me, on the other hand, if I want to chase that upside, I'm going to Wicks. My gut went to Wicks. My gut went to Wicks, but I understand that problem. If you want guaranteed touches, go forward. If you're a player like me that doesn't mind gambling in this spot here, go Wicks. I think Wicks got some upside. You got Dubs out. He looked good last week. He's getting deep targets, and he's in a matchup here against the Rams. That seems very promising. That could be a weird game script. The Rams getting weird game scripts. So that being said, I like Wicks for me, but I understand process-wise, fundamentals-wise, a lot of people would go forward because he's safer with the touches. But personally, I'd probably gamble on Wicks because of the upside. That depends on what you want to do. If you don't feel like gambling, go forward. But if you do, if you're a player like me that likes to gamble, go Wicks. And I'm just being honest. That's why it's kind of like that. But I'd rather be honest with you than someone that just says the name and just rolls to the next person. Dynasty Superflex just traded Dak, J-Mo, Komet, and Roshan for Mahomes and Pittman. So we're looking at Superflex here. And you got J-Mo, Komet, Roshan. So I'm not big on Komet. And also that's a tight end. Tight end every week. We got Roshan. I mean, we already know he's not going to be a generational world beater for the long term. We got J-Mo, and honestly, the concentration of wide receivers in the National Football League, of talented wide receivers who are going to jockey for position long term, that's only going to increase. And then you got Dak on top of that, and you're getting Pittman as the run back. Catching Pittman on the low off of the start of the season, Pittman's always getting a good target share. But Mahomes for Dynasty and Superflex, you're good for years. You're good for years. He's going to be stable. I think you're good. Like, I'm not worried about all the other pieces. I wouldn't like getting rid of J-Mo, but my theory on the landscape of the wide receiver position is that it's going to dilute with a lot of good talent, and you're just going to be able to get wide receivers and rookie drafts pretty good. I mean, look at the freshmen right now in college right now, and then I'm going to tell you when we go over wide receivers in this upcoming recruiting class all off season long, there's going to be good ones, and it's continuously looking like that, and that's going to infiltrate in Dynasty. Look, we have Ryan Williams, 17 years old for Alabama, going off. We have a few other ones going off as well at the wide receiver spot at just 18-year-old in college football. It's only going to increase. And you got another batch of good wide receivers coming out for the 2025 NFL draft. It's just going to be like that going forward. I like what you did there. I think that's a smart move. Moving on. Thank you, Tyler, for the question. Thank you, Jonathan, for the question. Thank you, Benjamin. I don't think I missed any. And also thank you, Craig, for talking some Tyrone Tracy. Now we're going to be talking to Joel Ramos. Thank you for the question. Start Downs, Deontay, or JSN? Deontay Johnson's the safe play. Deontay Johnson's the safe play due to the target. I'm starting like a fool right now. I've been up so late studying football. Deontay Johnson is probably the safe play here due to the target share, the deep targets, the flow of the game script. And I'll just pull up their wide receiver rankings just double check, because I use it to check myself. So why wouldn't I use it to help check myself, checking you guys, right? Helping you guys, might as well use the same tools. They got him ranked a wide receiver 11. I don't like the game script so much for the Bears in the Carolina, but I also believe that game could just be crazy in general. Also, I like Downs. I love Downs for fantasy. They got him at wide receiver 25, which says a lot considering the start of the season. I think he's in a great game script. And then you got Jackson. He's a little bit lower. So they got it ranked Deontay, Downs, JSN. I think Deontay is just safe due to what we're seeing recently and the deeper targets. And I don't like the matchup as well. That's probably why it's not auto for you either. But honestly, when I'm looking at this, that's probably what I would do. I'd probably just smash the Deontay Johnson and just keep it moving and just see what happens. I got the game cast up because I know you guys are watching and you guys want to pay attention. 2010 right now. I got the game right here on my phone, but I don't want to catch there's that one, a copyright or anything. All right. Flex, Stevenson, Gibson, Zach Moss. My gut automatically goes to Zach Moss. I'll go over the rankings with you. I got the half PPR because that's what I accidentally selected. But Moss is RB21 in the ranks. Stevenson, 32. And the thing about Stevenson, they're saying that Antonio Gibson will get the starter touches, but that could be like just the first series. And then they're mixed intermittently. It's against the Dolphins. The game script shouldn't be pushed too much unless the Dolphins can convert some series. And all of a sudden it's a slow-paced slugfest, which isn't good either way. Or the Patriots can get up in that game if the Dolphins quarterbacks just start throwing picks. I am leaning Moss. I would lead Moss. I feel a little bit safer with that. I don't like the matchup with Moss, but I would lean Moss just in case he gets the goal line work. Next is Start. What's up, G-Rod? Thank you for the question, Rico. Also, thank you, G-Rod, for the question. Start Kirk or Trey Tucker or Dunze. My gut went Kirk, but I want to pull up the numbers for you. Pull up their rankings for you. My gut went Kirk. And if I, like, the reason why I do this, if I use this check for myself, might as well use it to help you guys too. Kirk, Tucker. It's always good bouncing stuff off other people, so you're bouncing things off me and them, so that's another plus. Kirk, where was he at? He was higher, right? I know he was higher. Where are you at, dude? There he is at 30. My gut went Kirk. Now you got this matchup here with Jacksonville. You got Flacco starting, right? Flacco's starting, so that game script can be pushed. So that means we might get Jacksonville on the run back if Flacco can push the pace. So that means more passing volume in this offense. Kirk getting underneath targets against a Colts defense that when you were – why is that going back to 2024? That I think, if I remember right, they're more like middle of the road again. There they are. That can deliver fantasy points to wide receivers. The wide receiver scoring, Diggs underneath because Nico stretches it, right? You got Hutchinson in there. Wicks looking good. There's another game for Wicks. The carousel effect for the Packers there. But DJ Moore, Pickens, they're giving up points to wide receivers. Last 5 weeks, last week was kind of on the low, looks like, but they're league average. But last 5 weeks, they're 13.7% more than league average when giving fantasy points to wide receivers. I think I'd start Kirk and just roll with it. What I like Trey Tucker. I hate his matchup because it's weird against the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are just so slow in their game scripts, and then the over-unders for this game. Where's that at? Here, and it's different on every book, but I like to use DraftKings because a lot of people use DraftKings for stuff. You can't really see it that well. Let me do this. Try this way. Come on, layout. Change. It won't let me change it. It won't let me change my layout for some reason. So hopefully you can see it. But it's got a 36. Oh, there we go. It's got a 36 over under here on DraftKings. And the game flow is probably going to be slow. I look for him to probably push for 5 targets. But you got to hope that he pops one or gets in the end zone. But I'd probably lean Kirk on that one. Let me pull that one back up for you guys. Thank you too, Rico. I got Kirk as well, considered Tucker. Yeah. I mean, you can consider Tucker. I think he's got some upside to bust one because it will get targets, but the flow of that game scares me. And Kirk's in a matchup where if that pace gets pushed, that might help him out a bit. So that's probably what I would roll. But if your gut rolls the other way, it's close enough to do so. Plus Ingram sitting. Yeah, that's. You got Ingram sitting. I would go Kirk over Ingram. Probably due to float. Odunze is due to break out. What I like about Odunze is he's a top prospect. And if you watch college football at night last year, you knew he was blowing up every single week. I call him the midnight Marvin Harrison Jr. because you just stay up late every night and you just watch him blow up, just like those top wide receivers do during the day. Rome Odunze is due, and we got a matchup against Carolina. Now, I believe it's going to be weird one way or another. I'm not going to say it's going to score a lot of points or not score or score a ton of points. I'm going to say it's probably going to be a one that we're going to digest for the whole week because it's going to have some interesting factors in it with all the players involved. But I like Odunze, especially as a prospect. I would want more shares of him in Dynasty. Thank you, G-Rod. Thank you, Rico. What's up? Robles, 113. Hope I said that right. Eckler or Hunt? Let me pop up Eckler on here real quick. He's good to go, right? Opportunities. Set for increased opportunities. Brian Robinson, but we're against Cleveland. Officially active for week 5. And then this is half PPR in the rankings. I don't think it's going to matter that much. I think it's going to be Kareem Hunt. My gut one, Eckler. Austin Eckler. Right there. Where's Hunt at? Hunt's up there a bit, isn't he? At 19. So Hunt against the Saints, Eckler versus Cleveland. So he'll be sharing the workload with Brian Robinson. Robinson will be getting the work up the gut. We're against Cleveland, a stout defense. Let's see here. Against running backs. We're still in PPR. Let's see how they've been doing against the opposing running backs real quick. 18.4 fantasy PPR fantasy points per game against running backs. The last 3 weeks have been 19.3% less than league average, allowing fantasy points to running backs. However, you had the Raiders, Alexander Madison. You also had Devin Singletary went off against them. You also had ETN scoring double fantasy points, and you also had Elliott. However, he's sharing the backfield, right? So there was never an ancillary running back to hit double digits. So that's something to look at. Brian Robinson, officially active for week 5's match. He was dealing with a knee injury and was listed as questionable heading into this one. He's probably good to go. I wouldn't 100% trust it because of the matchup, but he's probably good to go. Hunt's a gamble, but he's right now the hot hand. And then you're looking at the point totals here. I wouldn't look at the rankings one for one. The projected points, 12.2 versus 8.3. The only gamble with Hunt is Saints defense. And then on top of that, projected workload with Carson Steele and company. Carson Steele fumbled in the first quarter. Hunt got the opportunities. He's been the hot hand. I think logistics and fundamentals says to roll with Kareem Hunt. My gut, though, went Austin Eckler off the rip. I think fundamentals says to go with Kareem Hunt, though. And it makes sense if everything's sound. There is also a risk that, because considering last week, going into week 4, last week was week 4, that they were saying in the media that they did not know what the touches were going to look like for the Chiefs running backs. And that could be the same thing. They might deem that as the right approach for them, and they might go in game. So it could be that Hunt starts off. If he's playing well, they're going to rock with him. Or if something's going on, it's not even his fault with the offensive line, and they may bring in fresh blood with the other running backs. That's the risk there. They did mention that in the media last week. Hunt's the hot hand, though, so you assume that. But also Austin Eckler coming back against a bad defense. I think fundamentals says to start Kareem Hunt. My gut did go with Austin Eckler, though. Take that as it will. Fundamental says to start with Kareem Hunt due to the opportunities there. I picked up Taysom Hill for that big game he had. Now that Njoku is healthy, is Taysom worth keeping on my bench? The thing about tight ends is I wouldn't have too many of them because from week to week, I talked about a tight end. I think it was Tucker. If you watch that video, I went in about tight end strategy. And every time I talk about a tight end and I do a deep dive on them, I go into tight end strategy. Week to week, there's only honestly 5 tight ends worth starting. And the rest of them are pretty much busts. like the tight end that ranks like 25th in scoring is only a few points away from being like the 8th best tight end in scoring. So that standpoint, I would have one really good tight end. And then after that, I would play matchups with tight ends. If that, and if I don't have a really good tight end that's not consistent, I would just play matchups every week. So is he worth benching? Yeah, in that standpoint with that strategy, because I'd rather have upside with whatever running back handcuff that I could pick up to have there, because you never know which starting running back's going to get hurt, and you can always pick them back up, and someone's going to pick him up anyways, and then he's going to score well for a few weeks, then he's going to do what other tight ends do and have some bad runs, and then next thing you know, he's dropped again, and then you can pick him back up. But I would reserve the bench spots for wide receivers and running backs, and I'd rather stash running backs over wide receivers just in case the starting running backs get hurt. That's what I would do. You don't know how many running backs after today will be on the injured list. And if you already have that backup running back, you do not have to waste fab or waste time or worrying about not getting that running back off the waiver wire. Just have as many of them stashed as possible. And I would probably drop a tight end to do so. If I even had the question, I'd probably roll that way. Tyler, I think this is officially Keon Coleman week. This could be. On my Twitter, I don't know if I can really officially show it, but I think if it's off my Twitter, I showed all of his targets last night. I dropped them all off to all 22. Like, I can't do it on YouTube because it'll copyright you. But, like, I think it was here. No, that's Jordan Whittington. I got Jordan Whittington and Keon Coleman. It was right here. And the thing about it, you see that one where it was missed? And then we're going to see another one just deep down by the boundary. Down by the boundary. And this is what we were talking about in draft season. It's just those shots downfield. We bring in a couple of those in a game and maybe a little deeper, a couple in the end zone, you're going to have spike weeks. So if you're looking at how these targets are ran with Keon Coleman, I just pretty much showed you all his targets. You're looking at a wide receiver that can blow up any given week. He was in on about 73% of the snaps. His route participation rate was okay. There are games where he's not there, but look at the targets that's going his way, though. They're deeper downfield. They're 1-for-1s. They're contested, and he's a boundary guy. But he's going to get deeper targets downfield, so he's going to be up and down. We got Khalil Shakir up. So there's a good probability of that he gets some of those targets funneled his way. But that's how the game, that's how the targets are going to be scripted for him. And he'll have more opportunities than this week than usual, and they'll probably grow throughout his career. Yeah, that Houston and Bengals game may be a mini shoot. Yeah, Houston Bengals game. Let's look at that real quick. Sorry if we're going off the Gamecast, guys. If you guys were, let's see. So you got Texans and Bills, 48 over under, and then you got the Ravens and Bengals, which is going to be an interesting one. That's going to be a fun one to watch. It could go either way, but also both teams got the potential to push it, and they know each other. That's a division rivalry. If anything, that's going to have a lot of action to it. And like scoring could be there, but even if the scoring doesn't get there for this game here, it's going to have a lot of action to it. To where both, I'm not even signed into anything, but it's going to have a lot of action to it where there's going to be a lot of fantasy points scored. These teams know each other. It could be dirty, gritty too. That's going to be a fun one. This one's going to be a really fun one to watch. Bills, Texans. That I want to see Allen push to throw the ball. I really do. I want to see that. I want to see them have to air that out. I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. Let me get here. Oh, thank you, Rico. Who's next? I got the Robos. Fan first. What's going on, man? Thank you guys for the questions. If I miss one ever, just redo it. Let me know. Sometimes I'll miss them, but today's going pretty good. Trey Sermon or Hunt? I had a lot of questions about that. I think I went Hunt last night when I was answering questions. Let's go over here to the running backs. I think I'm in half PPR here for the rankings. Sermon's at 24. Kareem Hunt's at 19. So the only question with Kareem Hunt's, and they said it last week going in, I haven't heard anything for this week. And I said earlier that they did not know how they were going to divide up the touches for the running backs. And I feel like they're going to do that in game, figure it out. Hunt's the hot hand. If he stays the hot hand, he stays the hot guy there. He's going to be the guy you're going to want out of that backfield. I'm always going to want Chiefs running backs. Trey Sermon is in a good spot. He's in a spot where he could luck into opportunity and fantasy production. Talent-wise, I think vision and everything from a fundamental standpoint, you're going to want Kareem Hunt over him. Athleticism-wise, Kareem Hunt had a couple 15-mile-an-hour runs last week, so it's not completely zapped still, even after all the injuries and him being in the league forever. I think there's some unknown with Kareem Hunt a little bit, but I think I'd go with what 4for4 has here. I think Trey Sermon can burn that. If the game script gets pushed, Colts open up a couple holes for him to run through that allows him to get some gaping runs and also red zone looks. But the red zone looks could be there for Kareem Hunt. Carson Steele could steal a red zone look, but he also fumbled last week and got put to the doghouse. He got put to the doghouse last week when he fumbled. So here's one. It sickens me, but I'm probably benching Tyreek until further notice. I think they'll shut it down until after the bye next week. Hopefully Tua is back soon. That makes sense on the process. I'm not against it. If someone told me that, I wouldn't look at them funny or anything. Where do they have him ranked? Tyreek Hill, wide receiver 26. So when you think about wide receiver 26, that's not even a wide receiver 2 in the rankings. It's wide receiver 3 territory because top 12 is wide receiver 1. Then it's the next 12 for wide receiver 2. So he's at the top of the wide receiver 3 tier. And then on top of that, he's battling out with T. Higgins, Rashid Shaheed, Xavier Worthy, Christian Kirk, Jerry Jeudy, Jackson and the Jigba. There's a lot of wide receivers here that have some grand opportunities as well that can hit. And you probably got some of them on your team to look through. And there's a lot of wide receivers here that can just splash on production, and he's in an offense. He's also in a matchup here that is very, very not fun. It's right down here, 37 over under. 37 over under. I went from 36 to 37. It was 36 earlier this week. But Vegas is saying, hey, it's going to be a slow-scoring game because they don't want to overshoot it or undershoot it when it comes to this, or everybody's going to bet one side to take advantage of it or the correct side to take advantage of it. So they do their due diligence to try to be at the right point and move around as the bets come in. So that's a good indicator that it's going to be a low-scoring game. And it's not always the case, but they don't really care about the case and the end game. They want to be right in the right spot so people put the money spread out enough to where they can benefit and make money. But, yeah, I'm not against what you're doing. Justin Fields or Love, also Komet or Njoku. So Dallas. Parsons out, right? Man, it's supposed to rain in that game? Is it supposed to rain a lot in that game? I thought man, these Macs. Y'all crazy. Come on, dude. You ain't going to throw up Parsons? I believe Parsons is out. Dallas defense is decimated here. But you got Jordan Love in a good matchup. Love's the safer option still. They got Fields up there at 6 because that Dallas defense is decimated. They got Love at 4, Fields at 6. You're in a great spot because Fields is going to get some rushing opportunities. And then he's also going against the Dallas defense this week. You got injuries. Things are happening. Ain't so good. But you got Love against the Rams. That's a matchup that's good. I'd probably play it safe and go Love. I'd probably play it safe. Or you can go either way. I think you're in a great spot. I think you got good odds of having a good quarterback here. I think Love's safer, though. I think Love's a lot safer. That's what I would do. Unless your gut rolls the other way, I think Love's a little safer. That's what I would do. Whittington and Kirk. Would I start? I'd probably. My gut went to Kirk offhand, and I think they're high on Whittington here. I'll say that they're pretty high on him. At 40, Kirk is at. I believe Kirk's probably in the 20s. There he is. He's at 30. My gut went to Kirk. I like the matchup. Where is he at? 40. I like Whittington's matchup. One problem is his targets are kind of short. Kind of 8 out of like 6. But so isn't Kirk's. Now, if your gut's rolling with Jordan Whittington, and you told me, hey, I made this move and I started Jordan Whittington over Kirk, I wouldn't look at you sideways. I mean, the projection's 9.7 versus 8.8. He had 8 targets last week. He's getting a lot of the short targets. And I showed all his targets last week. Last night, all his targets from last week, the boom. There, I posted them right here. So they're all coming underneath. Underneath's open. You're playing against umbrella or anything. Later in the game, if it's zone, you got to push it downfield, and underneath's open. You could rack up some catches. And he's going to be on the field. He was on the field. He had a 94% route participation rate last week. And he's also being moved around here, so he's not always in the slot. And there we got the quick speed out right there. So the thing about him, targets being spread out. Kirk's a little safer. We know what he is. And on top of that, the Rams wide receivers, the 3 of them you're looking at, we're throwing out Tyler Johnson. He's losing touches and snaps and targets. As Demarcus Robinson, what we like about Demarcus Robinson, he runs a lot of the deeper routes. And what we like about Tutu Atwell, he's got the speed that once he sees daylight in the open field, he could house it. On top of that, that's allowing him to get targets. And then what we're seeing with Witten here, he's getting a lot of the underneath stuff, the drag routes, whenever they're running mesh concepts, and some of those post routes over the gut. You're seeing a lot of that stuff. Honestly, if you told me that you're starting Whittington over Kirk, I wouldn't look at you funny. And you said your gut went with that and you did it. I wouldn't make fun of you or anything if you were one of my friends and said that. And I think Kirk's a shade safer. But when you look at the matchup, you're looking at how he's played. I totally understand if you went that way. I think Kirk's a shade safer due to what we know what he is. But if you want to roll that way between the two, not against it. I can't speak to Sermon's improvement on the Colts, but he was awful on my Niners. No vision, dances side to side, doesn't push through tackles. I think people will be Yeah, so with Trey Sermon, if you watched my video on him, you would hear me saying I'm not in love with the talent or anything. I'm really not. He wasn't really overly productive in college. Saw him at Ohio State because I'm in Ohio State country. He's got good contact balance. He's got size, grinder between the tackles. Doesn't do anything overly great. Never did back then, especially at Oklahoma. He produced early at Oklahoma, but it wasn't anything significant. He's a guy he's a backup that can handle some work, that can get a team by. For fantasy, anybody on the field, any running back on the field that's getting touches could sneak fantasy production. That being said, if you're just getting touches, he's fine, but you got to understand that you're just starting this running back for the touches and you're praying that he falls in the end zone, or if the offensive line puts out some daylight for him to go after, for him to be able to run through a gaping hole. And that could happen. That's how, in short samples, any running back in the league could do that. For long-term NFL terms, I would not put any chips on Sermon. No dynasty, no nothing. If he does well and I can get a 4th-round rookie pick out of him in dynasty or even bidding dollars or anything, he's off. He's gone. But, yeah, short samples, any running back can get it if they're getting touches. That's what I mean when I talk about running backs getting touches. You want him because he's getting touches. After that, talent level, nothing really long-term there. Hey, bro, DJ Moore, Josh Downs. Thank you, S. Today, DJ Moore is always going to be safe for the targets. We look at him week to week. There's going to be some down weeks. That's just kind of how numbers kind of work. it could fluctuate like that. But look at it, 8, 10, 10, 6. That's solid. You look at him last year, even with Fields and quarterbacks there. Look at this run right here. Once we start getting rolling, 9, 10, 8, 8, 9, 6, 5, 9, 9, 9, 10, 10. And then just coming back over here, 2024, we got Carolina, which I believe is going to be a weird matchup. So that might be a reason why you may want to go the other way. However, fundamentally, when a wide receiver is getting 5+ targets, it's locked in, loaded every game. You kind of don't want to play around with that, so I'd go with DJ Moore. But if you wanted to go the other way, I like Josh Downs as a prospect. I think he'll be all right. And if you want to do that, it's cool. I would roll DJ Moore, and I think fundamentals would say that as well when it comes to looking at start-sit decisions. And what I mean by fundamentals is just basic rules. Like this guy's getting a lot of targets a game. This guy's getting a lot of opportunity. The matchup is sketchy, but I can definitely see ways it could go bad and go good. But honestly, like typically fundamentals would say a player would be starting over another due to the basic numbers for that player. Xavier Worthy or Wan'Dale Robinson. I look at this two ways. Wan'Dale Robinson, if you want to chase the amount of targets and feel safe about that. Xavier Worthy, if you want to chase pure upside. And because we're going up against that Saints defense, that could be locked down. That could be a fun game script either way due to the nature of the Chiefs and the nature of the Saints offenses, both their offenses. But Wan'Dale Robinson is going to get targets. They're going to force feed him targets because that's what they've been doing. Other wide receivers stretch the field. That's the thing about him. So when I start Wan'Dale Robinson, I feel good that he's going to get a minimum of 4 targets. And I feel good that it's probably going to be more than that. It's against Seattle, but it's on the road. I don't expect the Giants to do well in this matchup with Malik Neighbors gone. I expect the targets to be kind of different, but I expect the volume to be there. However, his ADOT's rather low, so the upside's not going to be there unless he gets 14 or 12 targets or scores a touchdown. He's also kind of due for that. It's been a few weeks with that much workload. So if you want to feel safe about getting the targets, it's probably going to be there for Wan'Dale Robinson. I'd make that start. If I'm looking at my running backs and wide receivers and I'm like, I'm not 100% certain. If I'm looking at my opponent and they're one of the gassed up teams in the league or they did well on Thursday, I'm taking that shot on Xavier Worthy. And I think more often than not, especially if I'm a middle of the road team and I'm going up against a good team in my league, and with how things are with injuries at running back and how ambiguous some of these matchups are this week, because we either got really good matchups or really bad matchups with these games, you're probably going Xavier Worthy due to that. But if you're in a position where you just want to bank on the targets, the upside's limited. He's got to score a touchdown because look at the yardage totals. 12 targets, 44 yards, 14 targets, 71 yards. We love the targets. We love the catches. But still, that's something to look at right there. That's how I would play that. That would be a strategy, start sit. I'm slightly hesitant, but I'm starting Jennings over Judy, similar to what you described with Coleman. Jennings could, 2 catches for 70. Yeah, that makes sense. The process makes sense. And Jerry Judy's quarterback play and situation, he's getting a lot of opportunities. That's the thing about Jerry Judy. However, too, they don't always wrap in. But he has been consistent. This has return yardage for scoring in this league, but doesn't. But 11, 12, 8, 13, running a lot of snaps, running a lot of routes. Jerry Judy is. But we're also on the road against Washington. I think both players are up in the air. And if your gut went that way, because of the deep shots, the opportunities, and the touchdown, then roll with that. Because Amari Cooper is also going to suck up target share. David Njoku's back, so that's going to suck up target share. And this game could get very weird. Jane Daniels has been looking good, though. He could push it, but he's also going up against the Browns' defense. But both of them, I look at that as a coin flip scenario. If you went that way, I think that's okay. It's raining in Jacksonville also. Yeah. How much rain? Is that hurricane stuff? We got a second hurricane coming, right? Right? 74. Sunday rain. Why does it say this? It's probably just for right now. Precipitation. That's so weird. Tuesday. Yeah, I'm here. I just want like the hours. There it is. It's right here. I'm ignorant. 44%, 79%. So back into the game. That's the witching hour of the 1 o'clockers. 1 p.m. game. So the rain looks like it's really going to be hitting probably about third and fourth quarter, witching hour of the game. The beginning of the game, it's probably, I don't know. I'm just guessing by this random chart here. That might be more spotty off and on. It looks like it'll probably hit more. Likely to hit more second half part of the game. Halftime, second half, towards the end of the game. That's what that looks like. I'm not a meteorologist. My cousin is, though. So I learned a lot from him, but that's just a chart. That's limited information. Going from the odds there. Just look at the time. But it is progression. So if that's 44%, that's probably like 55-ish, 60. Yeah, it's going to rain that game. It's going to rain that game. But especially in the back end. So the reason why I was looking at that back end is because the third and fourth quarters, when the game script's really starting to push at the end as the teams are trying to win the game, more plays are ran, more opportunities, and if the ball's wet, that could impact things. I also could impact things if there's a lead and everything else. If there's like a 2-touchdown lead, the leading team could be a little bit more conservative. So that's something to look at there. That's something to look at for that matchup. Thank you, S-Stop, for that. Thank you for calling that out. Yeah, I'll never trust Caleb Williams. I do trust him to throw targets. That it's just the targets. Also, Caleb Williams has been very spotty this year, too. Caleb Williams has been there's been a lot of times the underneath guy just doesn't get the look, even though he's wide open and he pushes it downfield. Saw that a lot with the running back so far this year. The rain and the volume, but yeah, I definitely get it. Would you consider picking up Patriots defense going against the Dolphins, or would you stick with the Ravens defense? I'm considering it because I'm looking at let's see here. Against Dolphins. Let's see here. What do they got? Patriots should be pretty high up here. Patriots 8, and you got Ravens next to each other. The thing is, what do you got to drop? If you're dropping defense for defense, I think it might be Ravens are on the road. Patriots are at home. And then we're also looking at a game here. 37 over under. So Vegas is saying there's going to be less points scored. And then how are quarterbacks doing against the Patriots overall? Because I know they had that one matchup that didn't go too well, but only PPR matters. I just need quarterbacks. Ranked 20th against quarterbacks in fantasy scoring. They shut down Burrow. Remember week 1? Things kind of unraveled since then. Purdy did well, and Rodgers did well. Geno did well. Those are totally different players, though. They're able to do well against Cincy. That was away, too. Home. 327 to Geno. They are a pass funnel defense. They've shut down the run pretty good, and teams will want to pass on them more, but that could be more liberties for interceptions. That's another thing to look at there. Teams do want to pass on this defense more. That's why you're seeing these higher totals. They kind of figured it out in this game. So that's another thing you want to look at. So that could give you the opportunities for interceptions. That could give you the opportunities of the Dolphins breaking loose with Tyreek Hill on the flip side of that. So you got to gamble there. If you're looking for the Ravens for the long term and you're swapping them, then I'd probably just roll Ravens because it could be an ugly matchup. But there is some opportunities here due to the nature of this defense. They are last 5 weeks About league average. A little bit more than league average over the last 3 games, especially that Aaron Rodgers game where the Jets got up on them 24-3. I don't see the Dolphins getting up on them heavy unless something happens. I look for this to be a low-scoring, ugly game. That's Vegas saying that even as well. I consider it. I think you can coin flip that one. But hopefully those numbers help in talking through the game. Hopefully that happened. I'd coin flip that one. If I was looking for the Ravens long term, I haven't looked through all their matchups, and I was flipping them off for waivers, I'd probably just stick with the Ravens. However, I'm cool with either. Harris or Gibson, Najee or Gibson. Is this Cowboys game in the rain? Because, hold on, tight here. Because there's something I saw. Najee, insufficient, 13 carries. Dallas. Let's see. This Cowboys game in the rain. No, it's not in the rain. Doesn't matter. So the reason why I said that, just got coach speak. Let's see here. Are we even talking Najee Harris? We're talking Najee Harris, right? Let me see if I get it. Let's see if I can find it. So he had a blurb of Tomlin talking about Najee Harris, how he likes to roll with him in the rain. It came out this week. So that was an indicator that it could have been a rain matchup. Looks like it's not around here. Go back to this so you guys can see the scoring. Antonio Gibson. Let's see what 4for4 thinks about that. I roll Najee. You're going up against a decimated Cowboys defense here. This 16, that's pretty high. I was rolling Najee before that. They're not too far off. He's at 23, and they got him projected at 11.1. Najee at 13.7. The Cowboys have been unraveling. They're coming in banged up in this matchup. I'm going Najee. I know the touches are going to be there. What I like about Gibson is his usage in the passing game. But if you want to go Gibson, I think it's close enough where you can do it. But if it was me setting the lineup, I would probably roll Najee. And I look for the Cowboys to be pretty crummy in this matchup. I look for it to be that like one of those Cowboys games where we roll in the Monday morning and everybody's saying bad stuff about them on all the Monday morning TV shows. Ford, Leggett, Tracy, full PPR. Let me scroll down here. Nobody's dropped anything. Ooh, chat's been going off. I'm going to go faster. It's 12:51, so this is my witching hour. Shout out to NFL Red Zone. So I'm going to just start going faster. So a lot of these are going to be from the hip. Safe-wise, I'm going forward. If I'm shooting for upside, I'm going Leggett. And what I mean by upside going forward, I'm talking about like my teams. I don't like my team this week. Running back or wide receiver, or if I'm going against a good opponent in my league, or if they scored well on Thursday. Next one, Harris or Gibson. That's like the other one. So, yeah, I'd go Harris. I'd go Najee. Next one, Wan'Dale Robinson especially has a tough matchup and a slot against Witherspoon. Even with Neighbors out, that's where he plays. I'd rather have Worthy. Yeah, I like Worthy for the big play. And just Wan'Dale for the targets if I want to feel safe on the targets. But more than likely, you're probably shooting upside with Worthy due to how a lot of these games are scripted. Half of them are bad matchups that are going to be low scoring. Other half are high scoring games. On top of that, we got injuries at running back that's impacting things. And then when we're looking at the whole spectrum, you're probably going to have some iffy situations where you're just going to have to shoot for that upside. Stevens or Josh Downs. Stevenson or Mondre. I'd go Josh Downs. I think I'd go Josh Downs to start. Yeah, I think I'd go Josh Downs. It's tight because you don't know where the target's going to flow, but Stevenson might be losing too much workload here this week, and it's a rough game script. Fields or Jaden Daniels. Have Fields starting, but do I play it safe? There is a little bit of risk. There is a little bit of a risk here. One, because it is Fields. They got Jaden Daniels ranked 3rd, but Fields is so close it doesn't matter. He's at 6. Coin flip it. You already put Jaden Daniels in, I think. Did you say you had Fields in? Have Fields. If your gut's rolling Fields, they're not too far apart to where go with your gut. They're not too far apart. I mean, Daniels does have a rough matchup. He's safe. He's good. He's a very good rookie quarterback. Fields is in a matchup where he could take off and get yards. Parsons is out. They're banged up. The Cowboys are banged up, and they've been looking bad on defense before getting even more banged up. So if you want to roll with Fields, I'm cool with it. Either or, you're cool with it. You're just blessed to have two good quarterbacks for the week. Worst things that happens is you pick the wrong one. However, more likely, both of them are probably going to do well this week. More than likely. So I wouldn't sweat it too much. I like them both. So if you have Fields, then I'm cool with it. What's your next, Flacco or Watson? That's a good question. Oh, wrong one. Over here. Flacco is 19th. Watson shouldn't be too far from him. They're going Watson. Now, Flacco is going to be in the rain, and it looks like the precipitation is going to be pretty decent there. That's something you want to look out for. That might be your tiebreaker. Cleveland at Washington. I think I'd do what they do. I think I'd go Cleveland. I think Flacco could. I think either of them could break out. I think I'd go Watson. There. I'd let the rain hedge my bet. Also, G-Rod, what's up? Would you go Geno or Murray this week? Sorry for all. Nah, I'm cool with the questions. I love it. Keep asking them up. Let's see here. I think fundamentals, I always go Murray in that situation due to the potential running production. They got him neck and neck. You got him against the Giants. The thing about the Giants game is you don't have neighbors there, and Seattle could get up. But to get up, the quarterback's got to do something, unless he's handing it off to Kenneth Walker, who's good enough to score all the volume on his own. However, Cardinals are on the road against San Francisco. Fundamentals week to weakness would say to chase the rushing production of Murray and let it be. I think I'd go Geno, and they're probably going to rock the Giants. They're at home as well. I think the Seattle being home is going to be my tiebreaker for that. So I'm going to go I would go Geno. Yeah. Debo did get some run last week. I think it could be more coin flip with those players definitely in that matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if both players did well, though. Kirk, DJ Moore, or Wandell. I'd rank them DJ Moore, Kirk, then Wandell, if depending on how many you need. Next would be half PPR start Madison, Javonte, or Waddle. I think I'd have them ranked where you got them. Those running back touches for Madison, I'd roll with that. Next would be Javonte. He's in a very slow game script. Javonte could sneak up on us because the Raiders give up fantasy points to running backs. However, he's sharing the backfield a little bit more. And then Waddle, and I hated I made that decision, didn't I? Waddle, you can't really trust. Waddle's an upside play, though, because he could break one on any given moment. Thank you, guys. Thank you, G-Rod. Thank you guys for all the support, too. I really love it. And thank you, guys. I do this for you guys. I have fun with you guys, honestly. Love hanging out. Geno Smith or Fields? Geno Smith to be safe, but Justin Fields, if you want to shoot for the upside, the rankings have Justin Fields ahead of Geno by 4 spots. Fields has a great matchup this week against Dallas. More upside with Fields. I mean, by upside, could be the leading scorer among quarterbacks do that. His downside's a little bit more, which makes Geno Smith a little bit safer. Also, would you trade Marvin Harrison Jr. and Javonte for Jacobs and Ayuk? That's a good question. And that's for you to get better. 1-3, desperate right now. I would. Javonte, Jacobs. Jacobs is a big get over Marvin Harrison Jr. I would. And Ayuk's getting good target share. And Jacobs, work rate wise, it kind of says okay to do. It says it's okay to do. And it is a bit of a gamble due to Marvin Harrison Jr. Ayuk is very iffy due to the production. That's what scares me. Jacobs, older running back, but getting volume. But it sounds like you need the running back. You got to pony up for the running backs. It makes sense. If I'm very decimated, I'm 1-3. I got to do something to switch things up. What's down here? We got a super chat right now, $2. Worthy or Tyreek? First off, thank you for the super chat, Alan Moore. Thank you. Much appreciated. Let's look over here at what they got here. This is half PPR rankings. I think it's right in the middle of what most people want anyways. Worthy's at 29, and Worthy should be not too far off by Tyreek. 28. 26, Tyreek Hill. So they're pretty much saying it's a coin flip between the two. Worthy's in a matchup where it should be high scoring. Tyreek Hill, you're pretty much gambling on him to catch the ball, break loose, get a big gain because the opportunities are limited and hasn't been looking good with the volume with the Dolphins as a quarterback play. With Worthy, we're seeing more run. We're seeing more opportunity with Rashee Rice out. We're also in a matchup that could slow him down a little bit. So with Tyreek Hill, you're just taking that gamble that he catches one ball, blows up on a big play because he's got enough space to outrun everybody. Xavier Worthy's the same thing, though. Same thing, probably getting better targets and better looks. Matchups, a little bit more opportune. I think I'd go at Xavier Worthy if it was me personally. I gave you the case for both, so that could help you if you had a gut decision there, if your gut was leaning the other way. But you could go both. I think I'd go Xavier Worthy for that one. Hopefully that helps you out with your decision-making for that one. Thank you so much for the super chat. That was awesome. Thank you. So trying to move back up. I don't know if I'm going to miss somebody. Kirk Moore, Wandell. I answered that one, I believe. Madison, Javonte Waddle. I think I got that one. Geno Smith-Fields. I remember that one. The trade, Trey Sermon or Ford. I'm going to go with Ford because I feel a little bit safer with his situation with the Browns and his touches. It's a little bit more predictable for me. Downs or Sermon and Flex. I think I had that one earlier, and I went with Downs because of the upside and targets with Flacco in. Next is stream Brenton Strange, Eric All, or Mike Gesicki. I would go Mike Gesicki. That would be the one I would choose out of that. Higgins or Flowers. I want to go Higgins. I think it's very tight. It's a coin flip between the two. So if you're questioning it, you can roll either way. I think I'd go Higgins. And we're past 1 o'clock. So imagine we're going to have to get off and start watching some ball. Rest of season, handcuff rostered around 40%. Sleeper rostered around 40%. Ooh, sleeper wide receiver. There's a lot of them. Really depends on how much upside you want to chase. Right now, in the short term, Jonathan Mingo was running just about as many routes as Xavier Legette. That's something to look at. The rookie wide receivers, Polk of the Patriots. I don't think there's enough volume there to look at for him, but someone to look at. A.D. Mitchell down here for the Colts is a wide receiver I like. He's leading the wide receivers in separation per target. Was missed on 2 deep shots. A deep ball money play wide receiver that's getting a lot of deep shots downfield. His routes and snaps have reduced, but he's a play to look at. He's got a ton of upside. Rookie wide receiver that was getting a lot of buzz during draft season, ran into 4.3s, can stretch the field. Elijah Moore is another wide receiver for the Browns. Depending on how deep you want to go, the 40%, it's kind of leaving me right now since it's like right before kickoff. Elijah Moore's getting a lot of run in the offense. If something happens to Jerry Jeudy or even as a standalone player, he's got upside any given week. He's a week-to-week matchup play, and I'm just looking at players to look at going deeper. Troy Franklin's not a guy to pick up, but he's a guy to look out for the back end of the season. Malik Washington for the Dolphins, same thing. Don't pick him up now. Just look out for the back end of the season. After that, those are probably some of the main guys I'm looking at here off the rankings here. Just right off of that. Just rattling them off. Legette versus Sutton. I hate Sutton's matchup, but if you want to feel safe, you know he's going to get good target share. He's going to push around 30%. He's good for 5+ targets. Legette's got more upside. So if you need straight upside, go Legette. if you want to go after the targets and feel guaranteed with that, because he only had a few last week, 60 yards and a touchdown was fine. He's going to get work every week. That's guaranteed work. If you want that guaranteed work, you go Sutton. If you want to go straight up upside and the downside could be grand, go Leggett. And that's pretty much how it worked that one. Brian Robinson Jr. or Swift? I'd go Brian Robinson Jr. I feel a little bit safer with that. Swift could blow up again, but I also want to feel a little bit better about that. Robinson's coming back from that injury, but he's good to go. Kraft or Downs? I'd go Downs. He's good for a 20% target share. I'm starting Javonte over Sermon. Am I going to regret it? I believe both of them got the same amount of upside because of the touches. And the touches just got to go a certain way. And you can't predict that. I can only predict the workload. And due to the talent, I can kind of guess that 10 touches for this guy is going to be better than this guy, talent and the players around him. Both of them. Like, Javonte's a better talent. Javonte's a better running back. Javonte's in a little worse situation this week due to the game script. Anything can go anywhere, especially with Javonte sharing the backfield. Javonte's a better talent. It's a coin flip, really. I think the workload's going to be very similar. Regretting it, you're not going to know as of right now, but I think you're fine with that decision. I think you're going to be okay. Also, thank you, Too Easy. All right, guys, looks like it's kickoff time. I'm going to hop off here, watch the games. Good luck to all you guys. I'll have video out later tonight going over the recap of the games for fantasy football with the box scores and what I saw off the games. And then on top of that, tomorrow morning, we'll look at next-gen stats. We'll look at these players and going into the week. Thank you, guys. Have a good week. Have a good game.